let's continue on with our story of Ghana. Now, we talked about how Ghana acquired all of that gold. Remember, when Jackson found the hunk of gold, he gave it to the king, and then they ground it down to gold powder for him, and then he could go buy stuff with it. When Nalea got gold, she had to give it the chunk to the king, and they ground it down to gold powder for her. And so it became so rich with gold, it became known as the land of gold. People equated gold and wealth and power with Ghana. And one of the things that also gave them power was not monetary. It was the fact that their military will be superior than to their neighbors. See, Ghana is going to have iron. And iron is going to be way stronger than if you're fighting against people in the Stone Age. So that's right. Joel has iron-tipped spears. Celeste has iron, arrowheads. Jude has iron swords, whereas they're fighting against people that have stone weapons, bone weapons, wooden weapons. And we know that kind of technological advantage is going to mean the people of Ghana are going to be successful in war. They're going to be able to dominate their neighbors. Another thing that's going to go give them a huge advantage and make all of this possible would be the camel. Now, the camel has a very bad reputation. Everyone's like, camels are mean and nasty. They just spit at you. Well, yes, if they're in a bad mood, they do spit at you. This is true. But they, it's going to be an animal designed for the desert. It's got the double eyelids. I think we talked about this, or I talked about it that's right. I talked about it in a video that none of you guys watched because I forgot to post it. But anyways, it's got two sets of eyelids. It's got a regular set of eyelids like us, and then it has a clear set under it. So the camel can literally go walk through a sandstorm and still see. That's incredible. So I don't know if you've ever had sand in your eye. It's extremely painful. Camels don't have to worry about that. If we were wandering in the desert, if I just went and put Hayden in my helicopter, flew him over the desert, and then dropped him, he's going to get really tired because as he walks, his feet are going to be sinking in the sand while he's having the sun beat down on him. It's a perfect diabolical plan. Camels, if we dropped Mikkel on a camel into the desert off of my helicopter, yes, I could fit a camel in my helicopter with the two of you. The camel's feet does not sink. It just stays right over, so it can go much easier. Not to mention the fact camels can go long distances without further water. I mean, I forgot my water bottle for this class, and that's going to be terrible because I'd get thirsty in the middle just talking to you. I mean, Lord knows I need to get a sandwich every couple hours so that I can, keep on functioning. And camels, they just keep on going and going. All right. So camel, incredibly important, makes this trade possible. Here we just see how Ghana is situated right in the middle of all of the action. The salt, none of it's in Ghana. The gold, none of it's in Ghana. Takhaza and other places have the salt flats. People go, Arab merchants who go, they go get the salt. They go to Ghana. Like we said, Lydia taxes them. Then they go through, they get to the gold mines of Wangara. And then they go back, get taxed again. And this trade was consistent. People all over wanted gold. And people all over wanted salt, too. Salt is incredibly important. We're going to talk more about the importance of salt tomorrow. But spoiler, if you don't have enough salt in your body, you die. We don't have to worry about that because our modern diets have probably a little too much salt in it. But back then, you had to get salt or you're done. And plus it did other things like refrigerate your food. Well, not refrigerate, but preserve your food because they didn't have refrigerators. Anyways, you don't have to write anything here, but listen. The king wears necklaces round his neck and bracelets on his forearms, and he puts on a high cap decorated with gold and wrapped in a turban of fine cotton. He meets people in a domed pavilion around which stand 10 horses covered with gold embroidered materials. Now on his right are the sons of the lesser kings of his country, wearing splendid garments and their hair plaited with gold. At the door of the pavilion are dogs of excellent pedigree. Round their necks they wear collars of gold and silver, studded with a number of balls of the same metals. So, they're pooches, covered in gold and silver, precious metals. And they're horses, covered with gold, embroidered kind of things. Now, this line right here, you might not catch it. Now, on his right are the sons of the lesser kings of his country. Those people, those sons, says when, the king of Ghana, when Jackson is going and conquering and he rules over, Jude still is a king in his own right. But Jackson might keep Jude's son in his royal court. And what that does is, Jude's son is going to get a great education, live the high life, be in the center of politics. So it gives him, chances to be very powerful when he's older. But also, it's an insurance policy. If Jude misbehaves, guess what's going to happen to his kid? Jackson's going to take him out. So even these hostages he has are going to be covered in beautiful clothing and have gold even just in their hair. So, I mean, this king was rich. So, yeah, Ghana is a Ghana. That's from Domenico Vigliotti. Some of you might remember him. I think he's in 9th or 10th grade now. He gave me that quote many, many years ago, and it made me laugh so hard. So Ghana becomes most powerful around 1000 CE. That's when they're richest from their trade and have their most territories, excuse me. But now, it's going to come along a threat after about 75 years of this, 76 years. So Islam is going to come to Ghana around 900. And typically, it worked out great. Arab merchants came, and some of them decided to move and live in West Africa for trading purposes. And they were Muslims. Some Africans became Muslims. Many did not. They got along just fine. Everybody was happy, living in harmony and peace. It was great. But then, 1076, the Almoravids come. They're a group of Berbers from North Africa, so right along the coast between the Mediterranean Sea and like the Sahara. They lived there. They came, they attacked, and they said, it's real simple. Convert to Islam or we will kill you. Now this breaks the tradition that, because basically like for the past 200 years almost, everyone got along, it was just fine. They said, nope, we're not going to get along, you're going to convert or we kill you. They fight wars for 11 years. And Ghana wins the wars. They're able to fight the Almoravids back. But the problem is, remember, as Joel and Nora were talking about, they were powerful because of their control of the trade. They went and controlled land and then were able to tax that land. And they were able to do this because their armies were strong. But with their armies being defeated, with their armies being weak, their armies being busy, Hayden, they weren't able to defend those trade routes. And since they're not able to defend the trade routes, they wind up having local kings breaking away. They say, I'm not going to go listen to King Joel. I'm going to go do my own thing. What's Joel going to do to me? He doesn't have an army anymore to fight me. And so the kingdoms break apart. And that means there is less territory controlled by Ghana, meaning they have less chances to get the taxes. Now Celeste goes around that territory so she doesn't have to pay any taxes. And so then they don't get money, so then they can't have the big army. They can't have the big army, they can't control more land, more people break away. And we see it's like the circle of unawesome, the circle of poo-poo. Yes, I know, shocking. So it didn't work out well for Ghana with these wars. So even though they defeated the Almoravids, it still kind of sealed the end of Ghana. Final slide. One other thing that hurt them was Ghana ran out of natural resources. They were so into making iron everything because iron made them stronger. They could farm better, they can fight better. It was just better. Iron, though, requires you heating up the metal really, really, really hot to get rid of all the impurities. So you need charcoal. Charcoal is basically when you like cook wood to make it so it burns like longer and hotter. So they cut down all of their trees. And here's the problem. You cut down all of your trees, then you also have problems with soil erosion because all the tree roots and things like that keep your soil there and make it so like when it rains, it like stays like there as opposed to just all washing away. So then they wind up having water scarcity. So, that combined then with the drought, the people of Ghana, they didn't have water, they didn't have trees, and it was just a bad, bad situation. So many people flee the area. So that's the end of Ghana. And we're going to see, though, that this story that Ghana has controlling that trade taxing is going to be a common story that we're going to talk about again and again. So that's our notes for today. I'm going to stop the recording. Does anyone have any questions?